Zay Flowers reveals more secrets about the Baltimore Ravens, AFC North schedule breakdowns, and also we're going to cover some of the betting lines for the Ravens schedule and see what Vegas and what the world thinks. You know, we got the purple glasses on here at the Purple Rain podcast, but what does the world think about the Ravens schedule? We're going to get into that and so much more, honestly, on this episode of the Quiet Storm Sports Show on the Purple Rain podcast YouTube channel. Before we do, though, before we dive deep into this, please be sure, leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel as well. And if you are watching live and you are a member, yes, that's right. This is a member call-in show. You guys know we do these on Fridays. So if you are a member, you can call in to the show and we can chop it up. You and your boy Sutton about our Ravens. So listen, Quiet Storm Sports, episode whatever this is, let's get into it. Yes, sir. We are back. What is poppin', fam? My name is Sutton Def, and you are listening to Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain podcast YouTube channel. That's right, where we cover all things Baltimore Ravens and National Football League, as well as other sports too. So if that sounds good to you, please be sure to hit that like button first and foremost, but also subscribe if you are new here to the Rain Gang family. That's right, the Rain Gang family. And again, like I mentioned before I ran the intro, today is a member call-in show. If you're watching live, you can call into the show. If you're a channel member here, all you have to do is go to our YouTube channel and click on the posts tab. You click on the post tab and you will find the call-in link there. It should be it should be live now. Also, I want to give a big shout out to the replay gang. That means if you're watching this episode of Quiet Storm Sports after the fact, big shout out to you. Clap it up for the replay gang really quick. I know y'all are out there right now not watching the live stream, but that's okay. You're in your car. You're getting ready to go to bed. You're just waking up. Happy Friday. Happy Saturday. Whenever you might be listening to this, again, welcome in to Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. We got a lot to get into today, guys. It's a jam-packed Friday episode. So grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite vice, whatever you do. Right, because we got a lot to get into here today on the show. Before we get into our first topic of the day, I want to give a shout out again to the live chat. We got Lisa here. Lisa's in the chat, says, "Hey Sutton, happy Purple Friday, my friend." That's right. It is a Purple Friday. I forgot that the Ravens do that. They normally only do it in season, but it is a Purple Friday, and I've got my Ravens jersey on right now. Yes, before y'all say anything, I am wearing Roquan Smith's jersey. A lot of you guys might be like, "Sutton, why are you wearing Roquan Smith? He's been ass for the Ravens lately." I wouldn't say ass. He's just not performing up to his contract standards. He's ass by his contract standards. We'll just say that. And I'm just being truthful. And I think he knows he needs to be better. But if you're asking me why I'm wearing his jersey, listen, man, I'm just trying to channel that energy. I'm trying to CTE, channel that energy, right? Somebody's got to do it. And I mean, just imagine this. Just imagine if nobody held their hands up for Goku's spirit bomb. You know what I mean? You got to channel energy. You got to get it from somewhere. So I'm rocking Roquan today. Hopefully he can have a big bounce back year under the tutelage of Jesse Minter. I would absolutely love that. He's a good player. I agree. Jeremiah in the chat. Ashley, we got a member here in the chat. Hey, Sutton in chat. What's going on, Ashley? Appreciate you for coming through. Happy Friday. We also have Kenny in here. What up, Kenny? Says, Sutton, how you doing? I'm doing well, my man. I cannot complain. Doing well. Real quick, Sutton Reactions will be back next week, next Tuesday, and I'm bringing on a special guest for it as well. So those of you guys who've been missing Sutton Reactions the last couple of weeks, we will be back with it on Tuesday. Shout out to you, Kenny. Shout out to Neuropsycho Sports in the chat as well. Says, what's good? Go Ravens. That's right. Go Ravens. Absolutely. Go Ravens, man. Okay. So let's go ahead and hop right into this one, guys. Juicy episode. Jam-packed episode. I want to start with this, though. I want to start with the Ravens schedule. Again, we talked about it yesterday on the main pod, me and Alex. We kind of went through each and every game. We gave our schedule predictions. I can admit I was being a little bit hyperbolic at the time. I did predict the Ravens to go 16-1, which I understand is very, very lofty. Extremely lofty for, a Ravens team that has a first year head coach in Jesse Minter, Lamar Jackson, who's just getting back healthy and things like that. After having a super banged up year in 2025. Who knows what's going to happen with this team? So for me to say 16-1, I get it. It's very, very brash. I understand that, but I stand by it. I stand by it. I'm going 16-1, 15-2 at the most, at the worst, to be honest with you. But you guys know I'm a Ravens fan. Most of you guys watching this channel right now are Ravens fans. So you understand that I have a little bit of the purple glasses on. I do. I'm a little biased. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a fan. Fan is short for fanatic. I'm a little biased. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring up the betting lines that the media is putting out there and kind of see what the world thinks the Ravens are going to do this season. So as you guys can see right here, you have week 1, Ravens at Colts. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites. For those of you guys out there who aren't bettors, who aren't sports bettors, don't understand the numbers that you're seeing on screen, let me just learn you really quick. When it says Ravens minus 3.5, that means that Vegas, right, the ones who make these betting lines, that means that Vegas thinks that the Ravens are going to win by 4 or more points, right? 3.5, so 4 or more points. You just go to the next number. 4 or more points, minus 3.5. If it said Ravens plus 3.5, it would mean that the Colts were favored by 3.5 points. Okay. But Vegas thinks that the Ravens will win this game by 4 or more. Now, I also picked the Ravens to win this game like I did most of the games on the schedule. And I agree here. I agree. And to be honest with you, I just don't really see where you're going to get a lot of the offensive firepower out of this team. I mean, outside of Jonathan Taylor, who is a phenomenal running back, top 5 running back in the National Football League. I'm not disputing that. But the Ravens have a good run defense. Historically, they have. Right. And they're bringing guys, Calais Campbell's on that defensive line. John Jenkins is a guy who eats up space. Right. Rayshawn Benny is another guy. I mean, I don't know if he's going to make the team. I just kind of reached deep in the bag there. But you have other guys as well. Travis Jones, I think that the Ravens run defense will be just fine this year. And I don't think that the Ravens will, the Colts, that is, will be able to walk all over or run all over the Ravens, for better words there. And then also you look at their receiving core. Michael Pittman is no longer an Indianapolis Colt. He's a Pittsburgh Steeler now. A lot of people forgot about that. But yeah, Michael Pittman is on the Steelers. So outside of Alec Pierce, who I believe they still have, he had a 1,000-yard season last year. He literally had 3 yards over 1,000, 10:03 on the dot. I just don't see him being enough to being able to thwart the Ravens. I just don't. I don't see that at all. Now, do I agree with the line? Minus 3.5. I would honestly give the Ravens a little bit. See, Colts are at home, though. Colts are at home. So I do like minus 3.5 here. Minus 3.5. I think I can agree with that. We move on. Ravens at Saints. And before we dive into this one, shout out to some more members who are here in the live chat as well. We got Tila in the live chat. We also have Frank in the live chat. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate y'all for coming through. As always, man, I appreciate all of our members here. By the way, again, like I said, member call-in show. If you want to call into the show live and chop it up with your boy Sutton, let me know how you feel about this Ravens schedule, your record predictions, all that good stuff. You can call into the show. Instructions are down below in the description. All right, moving on here. So Ravens are 7.5-point favorites against the New Orleans Saints. And this one, to me, another interesting one because, the Saints are a team who I feel like are still a good 2 years away. 2 years away from actually contending in the NFC South. And I just don't see them in week 1. As we all know, week 1 is very wonky. Teams haven't really found themselves yet. They're searching for an identity. Ravens will be the same. And not week 1, week 2. The first 3-4 weeks of the season are kind of like the feeling out period, the adjustment period for all teams, right? Before they really establish an identity and they really get rolling with who they are for the rest of the season. I think that the Saints will still be trying to figure things out. And I think that the Ravens will come into the season more buttoned up. They'll come into this game more buttoned up and figure it out than the Saints will. Because the Saints, they've got a lot of questions. Tyler Shuck, again, ended the season really well last year, but against a Jesse Minter defense with all of that talent, and it's not just a standard defense. I mean, for such a young quarterback to have to deal with a defense that is giving you pressure from the outside with Trey Hendrickson. And again, this is all presumed, like presuming guys like Trey Hendrickson step up and perform and things like that. We think he will, but we don't know until, the season rolls around. But I'm making an assumption here that Trey Hendrickson will still be good. He'll still be good at football with the Ravens. So when you have a defense that is pressuring you from the outside, right? When you have a defense that is pushing the pocket from the inside, if Matabike comes back and then you got Travis Jones, all those guys, right? Calais Campbell, there's going to be interior pressure. But then you have a wild card in guys like Kyle Hamilton. For a young quarterback to have to deal with all of those guys that I just mentioned, all that talent, but you also got to deal with Kyle Hamilton, who's going to be literally the topic of discussion, the number one topic of discussion in film the entire week if you're Tyler Shuck. I just don't see how he deals with it. -7.5, I could totally see that. I could see the Ravens winning this one. I could see people leaving, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in New Orleans by the fourth quarter. So -7.5, I agree with that one too. We move on. Ravens at Cowboys, but not in Dallas, in Brazil, okay? So the Ravens will be taking on the Dallas Cowboys, but in Brazil. In week 3, the Ravens are favored to win by 3 points here. So you see the Ravens are -2.5, which means they're favored to win by 3 or more points. I told Alex yesterday that out of the first 4 games, if there was one game that I felt like the Ravens could potentially drop, it would be this one. And the reason why is because the Cowboys, I feel like they have equalizing talent at skill positions like wide receiver. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb at any moment, right? If Dak Prescott gets just enough time to throw and he lets it go to one of those guys are playmakers, both of them, bona fide playmakers. So I could see the Ravens dropping this one, but I do see them winning. I don't see the Cowboys being able to stop the run. That's the issue. I think that the opportunities for a Dak Prescott and that Cowboys offense will be limited by way of the Ravens staying on the field, staying ahead of the chains, down and distance game. It's going to be one of those, right? I don't predict this game to be super high scoring. I don't. I think that the Ravens win. If I had to give an way too early score prediction on it, I'd probably go like 24-13, something like that. 24-13, something like that. But I'll take the Ravens to win. I do agree with the line here. Ravens -2.5. We move on. Ravens at Titans. Okay. This is going to be an interesting one. By the way, that week 2 matchup, I'm sorry, guys. The week 2 matchup was in Baltimore. I'm so sorry about that. But this matchup here, Ravens and Titans. I just don't have. I don't have. The Titans are on the same level as the Saints to me. They're still a good 2 years. A good 2 years off from being even remotely competitive. The -8.5 here feels a little bit disrespectful. It feels a little bit disrespectful. Only because you're saying that they're basically going to lose by 2 possessions. The Titans are going to lose by 2 possessions in this one. But I think I agree. I'm sure if you're a Titans fan, you're like, oh, no, bro. You don't even know we got such and such in the draft, and you just don't know because, no, absolutely not. I think that the Ravens roll the Titans in this game, and I think that they do win by 2 possessions. Again, this one is at home. It's at the bank. So, I agree with that one, too. We move on. Ravens and Falcons in Atlanta. By the way. In Atlanta. Ravens are favored by 4.5, so 5 points or more. I think that this one is. I agree, and the reason why I agree with the -4.5, and the reason why is because the Atlanta Falcons do not have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback that they even remotely believe in. Well, let me not say that. I feel like they remotely believe in Michael Penix, who is coming back from injury. He's supposed to be back and I guess better than ever. But in Atlanta, of all places, I just don't. Because what are the options? It's either him or Tua, right? I believe it's him or Tua. Let me see. Falcons depth chart. I want to say it's Tua. Yeah, it's Tua. And then they got Trevor Siemian behind Tua. Funny stuff. Funny stuff. But yeah, -4.5 here against the Falcons in Atlanta. I think that the Ravens by week 5, they're rolling. Give it to me, man. I agree. I agree. Ravens at Browns. Ravens at Browns. This one I disagree with. I don't think that the Ravens win by 7 or more here. I think that the Ravens win by, and this is when I've had more time to think about it. I think that the Ravens only win this game by maybe a field goal. I just think Todd Monken in his first game against his old team, in Cleveland. Obviously, Todd Monken is not going to really know what the Ravens are going to do because the Ravens have an entirely new coaching staff. It's not like there's anybody there, any same philosophies or coaching styles or schemes that are still there from, when he was with Baltimore. So, but I do think that the Browns keep this one close. It's really just the defense for me, right? It's really just the defense. If they can shut down the run game early, which the Browns, I mean, listen, if there's one thing about an AFC North opponent, they're going to make sure that you don't get off on them on the ground. So I could totally see the Browns keeping this one kind of close. And again, low scoring, but I disagree with this line here because I don't think that the Ravens win by a touchdown or more. I think that they only win by maybe like 3 or more. Let's keep it moving though. Ravens at home versus the Cincinnati Bengals are favored. The Ravens are favored by 4 or more points in this one. This, a lot. This is hard for me, guys. This is hard because I could see the Ravens actually losing this game. Oddly enough, I could see the Ravens actually losing this one. Don't want them to, but I could see it. I could see it. Let me think. Because the thing that scares me about the Cincinnati Bengals the most is their defensive line, right? And the Ravens' offensive line, I think, is solid. If I had to use a word to describe the Ravens' offensive line as it stands right now, I would just have to say solid. Main reason being because Ronnie Stanley, I think Ronnie Stanley is a very good left tackle at this point in his career. I don't think he's great. Whether you have Simpson or Ioane, let's just assume it's Simpson, right? Simpson, I feel good about him. I don't feel great. I feel really good. I think it's safe to say really good about John Simpson, but I don't feel great. Center, I feel terrible about. Why? Because we don't have an option there right now. So I feel terrible about center. Right guard, Venga Ioane, assuming. I feel good about that. I mean, he's a rook. We got to see. And then right tackle, Roger Rosengard, you guys know how I feel about him. He had a very, very up and down year last season, as did most of the offensive line. But I can't say anything more than I'm just like meh on him. I mean, he's solid, right? He's cool. I just feel good. I just feel good. I don't feel great about the Ravens offensive line right now. And against that Bengals defensive line, with Boy Mafe, Jonathan Allen, Dexter Lawrence, it's going to be tough sledding going up against those boys. It is. And the last thing I want is for Lamar Jackson to be running for his life. So this one's tough for me. It's in Baltimore. So I will give the Ravens the nod on this one. But I think, again, this is another one where I think that they only win by maybe 3 points. So I got to disagree with the line here, -3.5. Again, only by a half. Only by a half a point, but I disagree. I disagree. I think the Ravens win, but by only a couple of points. Only a couple of points. Moving on. All right, so here we go. Week 8, the first matchup that the Ravens are actually underdogs in. The first matchup. So you got week 8. The Ravens will travel to Buffalo for a 1 p.m. CBS game against the Bills. And the Ravens are favored to lose this game, actually. The Bills are -2.5. They're favored to win by 3 or more points. I still think this is a win, so I disagree. I think this is a win for the Ravens. I think this is a statement win for the Ravens. You want to know why? I think that going into this game, you guys know I've been really big on like my psychology wave lately, right? Just walk with me for a second. I think that Lamar Jackson, you're going to see a brand new Lamar Jackson going into these storied rivalries that the Ravens have had in the past decade. So against the Bills, right? Against the Chiefs, against the Steelers. I think Lamar under new leadership, and again, fully being able to turn the page on the John Harbaugh era, fully being able to put all that baggage of playoff loss after failed season behind him. I think he's going to come into some of these bigger matchups like this one with a vengeance. Lamar Jackson, that is, with a vengeance. And you're going to see him have an absolute refusal to lose. And here's the kicker, because you saw that for the most part last year when the Ravens played the Bills. Lamar Jackson he did not want to lose that game. You could tell. But it was the defense. It was the defense that gave that one away. It was the defense that served up 15 points for the Buffalo Bills on a silver platter with only 4 minutes to go, and they walked the Ravens down and beat them. This year, that's not happening. You know why? Because we don't have Zach Orr coaching his defense. It's Jesse Minter, who's the head coach, who has a track record. He's got a proven track record of being able to call the defense. And oh, by the way, nobody's talking about this, but Anthony Weaver. Anthony Weaver should be, honestly, he's flying under the radar. I'll say that. He's flying under the radar right now because obviously Jesse Minter, we know he's going to be calling the defense. And Tony Weaver, we expect to probably be some sort of supplementary role to him on game days and things like that. In practices, he'll probably be overseeing the defense. Obviously, as a defensive coordinator, obviously, right? But he's a guy who's familiar with the team. Anthony Weaver literally played for the team before, coached for the team before. He's a motivator. And he doesn't have to spend all of his time and energy and efforts into the X's and O's. Because he's got a head coach. See, the Ravens didn't have this before. When you have the luxury of having a head coach who specializes in one side of the football, right? When you have a head coach who specializes in either defense or offense, it takes pressure off of whatever coordinator, is that I'm talking about. So since Jesse Minter's a defensive-minded head coach, that takes pressure off of Anthony Weaver. And with that being said, man, I think that he is going to really, really show people this year. And by he, I mean Anthony Weaver. He's going to be in line again for head coaching jobs. He just is. It might take a couple of years. It might take a couple of seasons because he had that before. But trust and believe. Trust and believe. It will be coming. And I think Anthony Weaver is going to do a great job. But I do think the Ravens win. They cover this. I mean, obviously, since I think they'll win, it's null and void whether I think they'll cover the 2.5. But Ravens win this one. Moving on. Ravens at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe this is Thursday Night Football. The Ravens are favored by 4.5. So it's -4.5. So the Ravens are favored by 5 or more points in this one. Yeah, give me the Ravens by 2 possessions or more. Lamar Jackson versus Florida teams is a scary sight. Moving on. I love this one. Ravens at home versus the Chargers. Ravens at home versus the Chargers. Probably top three biggest storyline matchups for the Ravens schedule. I think that's pretty safe to say. Jesse Minter's old team going up against a Jim Harbaugh-led LA Chargers. And by the way, speaking of those games, by the way, these are actually some tough ones down the stretch of the season. This is hard. This is hard for me. I would say, because I think the Ravens will win. And the only reason why I think that they'll win is because they're at home. If it was in LA, I think that the Ravens would drop this one. But I think the Ravens win since they're going to be in Baltimore. Justin Herbert versus Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has always owned him. Say what you want about Jim Harbaugh, maybe knowing the schemes and tendencies of a Jesse Minter, but you can say the same thing the other way around. Jesse Minter sat in those same rooms with Jim Harbaugh. So it's going to be some chess. There's going to be a lot of chess going on here in this matchup, and I'm sure the film study and the preparation in this week. Oh man, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the castle for that. But I will take the Ravens. I'm going to be consistent here. I will take the Ravens in this one. And to cover the -2.5, I think they will, especially at home. Let's move on. Ravens going to Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers. By the way, guys, like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel as well. We'd appreciate that. 84 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys again. My name is Sutton Def. You are listening to Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, where we're breaking down the betting lines right now. For the Ravens schedule. Seeing what Vegas thinks. Keaton Mitchell. I think that Keaton Mitchell will be kind of handcuffed behind Amari and Hampton in LA. So I don't really see him doing a whole lot of damage to the Ravens. I don't. And plus, by the time that it would warrant Keaton Mitchell really being in the game and getting a good amount of snaps, I think that the Ravens will be they'll be ahead of the Chargers and they'll be throwing the football. But Ravens Panthers are a team who made the playoffs last year. They're looking frisky. Bryce Young seems to be their guy. Him and Ted McMillan really came on strong towards the end of the year last season. Ravens -4.5 in Carolina. I think the Ravens cover this. I do think the Ravens win by 5 or more. Only reason is because this is an NFC team that does not see the Ravens that much. They don't. And on top of the fact that they don't see Lamar Jackson and the Ravens often, they're going to be running into a brand new Lamar Jackson and Ravens team again under Jesse Minter. So this is going to be one of those years, guys. I mean, I know I've picked the Ravens to win every single game up to this point, but the reason why I'm doing that, guys, is because this is a year where teams have to react in live action, like in real time, to what the Ravens want to do. See, in years past, when you had John Harbaugh and the coordinators stayed the same and things like that, teams were able to catch up and scheme and game plan effectively for the Ravens. One game that comes to mind for me is the Detroit Lions game last year. That Lions game last year where they blitzed the hell out of Lamar. They were keeping him contained. They were doing the cage rush tactics. They were keeping him contained in the pocket and things like. They just had him figured out. No one is going to have the Ravens figure it out this year. It's going to take a while for teams to really get hip to what the Ravens want to do under this new regime. The Nigerian Nightmare. Appreciate the sub, brother. Appreciate that sub. Nigerian Nightmare, a.k.a. Kamaru Usman. I don't know if you're familiar. One of my favorite UFC fighters. All right, let's move on. Ravens at the Houston Texans. The Ravens are also underdogs in this game. So here's the thing. The Ravens have their bye next. So at this point, the Ravens would have played 12 straight weeks of football. You're coming off of some brutal matchups, not going to lie. Again, Panthers aren't too bad, but you're coming off Chargers, Jags, Bills. And then, Panthers, respect to them too. In Carolina, they're not going to be pushovers, right? We're talking about all playoff teams. By the way, Bills, Jags, Chargers, Panthers, all playoff teams in 2025. And then you got the Texans, another playoff team, who got one of the best defenses in the league, going to be wanting to bounce back after, falling flat on their face last year, especially CJ Stroud throwing how many interceptions in that game? Like 4 interceptions or something crazy like that. This is going to be a tough one, guys. This is going to be a very, very tough game. Let me just actually take a look really quick and see what their depth chart is looking like on offense, because I know their defense is crazy. But I want to see. So running backs, David Montgomery. Okay, got you. David Montgomery, he went to the Texans. And then you got Woody Mark still, who's pretty good. Nico Collins, their wide receiver 1. Outside of that, you got Jaden Higgins. Tank Dell should be coming back. I forgot about Tank Dell. King Blaze, appreciate the gifted jewels, man. Appreciate that, King Blaze. But yeah, I forgot about Tank Dell. Tank Dell should definitely be back and healthy this year. I mean, he didn't play all of last season after getting hurt the season before that, so he should be back healthy. So I think that the Texans could be tough, man. In Houston, I'm gonna be at that game, but man, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say the Ravens drop that one, man. I'm sorry. I got to do it. But I think I agree here with the Vegas line. I know I said what I said yesterday. I get it. Some of you guys are gonna say, "Oh, but Sutton, you said yesterday the Ravens will beat the Texans for X, Y, and Z." I get it. But 24 hours removed, when I'm not so hyperbolic. Again, fan is short for fanatic. Sometimes I say things and I got to come back the next day and clean it up. That's the beauty of me going live every day. But I think Houston gets the Ravens. They get them out of there in Houston. And it's going to be loud. And again, your boy Sutton's going to be there. And people are going to be talking trash to your boy Sutton. So it's going to suck. But I think that the Ravens, they drop that one. Unfortunately. All right, listen, guys, we're going to take a quick break here from the betting lines while we have somebody waiting backstage to come up and talk to us here about the Ravens' schedule and what they think about it. So let me go ahead and bring up my guy, Cupid, who's here in the chat. What's going on, Cupid? Hey, man, ain't nothing, man. These Ravens, the schedule is out. I predicted them yesterday to go 16-1. It's looking more like 15-2, maybe 14-3, but no more than 3 losses for me. What do you think the Ravens' record will be at the end of the year?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely 15-2 is that absolute floor.
Okay.
Like, I don't see how those first, 8-9 weeks, we just don't go steamrolling through people. Like, I feel like a lot of people are really underestimating the effect that Jesse Minter is really going to have on this defense in comparison to last year. And I really am not a big fan of the Bengals team, at all right now. I don't really know where they think they improved. They think that they got Boye Mafia, and now they somehow have a better room than they had when they had Trey Hendrickson, which really that don't add up to me, but...
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the AFC North, I haven't gotten to their schedules yet, but I think that the Bengals, again, man, because you got to think about with the Bengals, their whole thing was just defense was just ass, right? Offense, they can put up 30 on anybody on any given Sunday. But if the defense even just got marginally better, which I feel like they did, they can be dangerous, bro. They can be dangerous, which is why I have the Ravens dropping that New Year's Eve game to them. It's going to be close, but I think that the Bengals probably edge them out at least one of those games, So, but yeah, but you said 15-2, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's the floor. I think we go 16-1. I don't really know who it's gonna be to. I just think it's gonna be one of those ones where it's kind of just random. I just feel like it's very hard to go a full 17 schedule without dropping at least one. Or I would have us going 17-0. Because there's not a single team where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really worried that we're gonna lose to this team. It's just a matter of how football works.
Yeah, now what I will say is that the season starts off with a very favorable schedule for the Ravens, but it picks up. I'm sure you were just watching. You get Bills and Jags and Panthers and Texans back to back to back to back to back. That's going to be a tough stretch. I'm not going to lie, but I think that, and I was telling Alex this yesterday, I think that the fact that the Ravens have an easier schedule to begin with, like to begin the season with, that's going to allow them to kind of build their confidence and kind of make the snowball effect for this team. Because right now, nobody knows what this team is going to look like under Jesse Minter. But if you stack a couple of
Exactly.
wins after 3 or 4 weeks and you have that confidence, right? I don't care who we're playing. It can be the Jags, it can be the Bills, it can be the 2021 Chiefs. I don't care who it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I think that this Ravens team can beat anybody. I do.
yeah. The way seeing the schedule, it kind of reminds me a lot of the year where we went 2-2 at the beginning of the season, and then we won out because we caught that fire. Except with this season, there's really no team that should choke us up to where we can't just start off immediately, catch fire, and then we just never cool off. Like that's the
You know
way I
what?
really see the season's gonna happen.
Cupid, let me ask you this because we're both predicting the Ravens to go what 16-1, 15-2 floor, right? So
Yeah.
does that mean that this year is Super Bowl or bust for the Ravens?
Oh, it's most definitely Super Bowl or bust for the Ravens, especially with us not getting that extension done with Lamar Jackson. I feel like that's only gonna up his price if we don't win the Super Bowl. Like obviously, it could up his price when we do win the Super Bowl too, but he's also gonna be looking at the team where it's like, is this team really holding me back from winning that ring? Because that's what he ultimately wants to do.
So Cupid, bust has to mean something, right? Super Bowl or bust, and bust has to mean something. So are you saying that if the Ravens do not win the Super Bowl this year, the first name you brought up was Lamar Jackson. These are your words, not mine. Do you think that the
Yeah.
Ravens would move on or should move on from Lamar if they do not win a Super Bowl this year? Again, you said Super Bowl or bust. Bust has to mean something, right?
Yeah, I definitely don't think we should move on from Lamar Jackson. I don't think it's going to be us not winning Lamar. It's going to be a Lamar not winning us if we don't win the Super Bowl. That's where I feel like the Super Bowl or bust comes in the hand.
Interesting, interesting. No, I mean that's a good point, but everything that we've seen so far, I mean Lamar Jackson, I think that he legitimately wants to be a Raven. So I disagree. Even if the Ravens did go 15-2 or 16-1, the fact that it's Jesse Minter's first year as head coach, and the Ravens know that they wouldn't be anywhere close to being Super Bowl contenders without Lamar Jackson. I think regardless of what happens, the Ravens can go 17-0 in the regular season and then get bounced
Yeah,
out, in the divisional round because obviously they'd win the conference and get the first round bye. But they can get bounced out in their first playoff game and they'd still re-up Lamar Jackson, making him the highest paid in the league.
yeah,
Of course, they're going to run it back with Jesse Minter for a few more years. He's got a 5-year deal, which of course we know means nothing. He can still get fired, but no, I think that it's not necessarily Super Bowl or bust, but I think it's something close to that, right? It's because the Ravens aren't most teams who get new head coaches are teams that are in full rebuilds, right?
yeah,
Like you're fully hitting the reset button, but it's not necessarily like that with the Ravens. They still have very very high expectations, so I don't think it's Super Bowl or a bust, but it's definitely Super Bowl or listen, man, we really, really gotta hit on some big free agents this offseason. We gotta get more and more intentional. It's a tough situation. It's a very interesting situation, but neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. Listen, Cupid, I appreciate you,
yeah.
brother, for coming through.
For
I got
me, I'm
somebody else
actually
back,
kind of
sure.
thinking.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I
last
got
takes,
you.
last takes.
Uh, Oh yeah, the last thing I was gonna say was just that yeah, I'm completely agreeing with what you're saying, but I still kind of feel like where that bus could still come in handy is that we're gonna be in cap hell if we were to have to just overpay. Well, even though I don't think anything's overpaid when it comes to Lamar, because like Lamar is Lamar, but in terms of financial reasons, we might have to overpay in order to keep him in Baltimore, which is just gonna
That's true.
make it harder to build those rosters in the future.
That's true.
And we're gonna
I
have to pay Zay if we're gonna pay Zay.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I definitely see, Lamar wanting that overpay, especially considering after last contract season that he had, right? I mean, he signed his extension, and then you see all these other guys, Tua Tagovailoa and Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert leapfrog him almost immediately. And I get that's how
Yeah.
it goes, but I think that Lamar Jackson's going to want to separate himself just a little bit more, this time around in his contract
Yeah.
negotiation. So we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully the Ravens do win a damn Super Bowl, so we don't have to have this conversation. But it
Yeah,
is
that's
it
definitely
is
the
what it is.
plan.
We'll see. We'll see. But appreciate you,
But
Cuban, for
yeah, I
coming
appreciate you having
through.
me on.
As always, man. Always, man. Come back next week, all right?
Yeah, I'll catch
You
you.
heard? All right. See you. All right. That was my guy, Cupid. Shout out to Cupid. Let me see here. I also got Asmodeus in the background. What's going on, Asmodeus?
So, buddy, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. There's like a car alarm that's going off in my parking lot over here, but I don't know what that's about. Anyways, how are you feeling about this Ravens schedule? Give me your record predictions and anything that stands out to you about it. I know you got a lot on your mind about it.
Record wise, I mean, excuse me, I'd probably say max would be 4 or 5 losses. I mean, it shouldn't be anything more than that. Like, that's including, potential flops against the division rivals, and you can kind of go 50-50 wherever you want on Buffalo because we typically have a challenge playing them up in Buffalo, but I mean, it's going to be a new stadium, which I don't know that's going to give them more of an advantage or less of an advantage. I know I've been to the old one before. It was ass. So I mean, I'm not shocked that they got a new one.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I mean, from a scheduling standpoint, I think the NFL did what they had to, like, not what they had to do, but they did. I think they did us kind of a favor from
Hmm.
beginning of the season standpoint. So you're looking at was it first 7 games and nobody was in the playoffs. I mean, granted, this is a league of parity, so nobody in the first 7 games made it to the playoffs. I mean, maybe a couple of them do make it this year.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, there's that. But I think based off of what we had before, and well, what has happened in the four. I mean, this is kind of setting up to where we're actually going to be able to play underdog, which is something that we haven't been able to do for a very long time.
Yeah.
The Ravens typically thrive in that. When I remember back in 2012, the one thing that kept thinking about was that the Ravens were a dark horse, and they were. A
Yeah.
lot of people
Yeah.
didn't see us as winning the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden we go on a historic run, and then boom, we make it, almost lose it, but we made it. So I think this year is going to be very interesting. Saw what Dwayne Leffert had to say about the center position.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he's leaning Pinter based off of everything that I've been looking at
It's like
from.
why? Why though? Like on what merit? On what grounds? You know what
So
I'm saying?
I get that, but I was also looking at what options are out there,
Yeah.
and I kind of would have to agree with them because if you look at what's out there, I mean you have. I know people. I don't know who said Glasgow. I know some people have said Glasgow,
Yeah.
but if you look at him, I mean his PFF is the same as Daniel Falele.
Mm.
So in that sense, I mean like, and I also remember last year when Minnesota played Detroit. That same Minnesota team that we played, we got 2 sacks on us. If I remember, it was either 6 or 8 sacks against Jared Goff.
Mm.
So you're talking about for as bad as an offensive line as we had last year. You can argue that Detroit was either just as bad or worse.
Facts. And
So
one thing I'll say about the center position really quick is that, you know, I think if you're Dwayne Ledford, if you're trying to decide who is going to start at center, I think that all you really have to do is, of course, take Corey Bullock, take Danny Pinter, take Javon Gwynn, maybe you bring in another guy, um, and just see who can snap the ball the best, right? I mean, as long as our center doesn't have consistent snapping issues, I think we'll be fine. And the reason why I say that is Modis is because I think that the Ravens are in a good place right now when it comes to guard, left guard, right guard, whether it's going to be Simpson on the left and Vinga on the right or vice versa. Either way, I have confidence in those two guards. And, much like we saw last year, it was a great example of how the guard position really, really does aid the center, right? So if you have two solid guards and then the center in the middle being helped out by those guards, I think, the blocking prowess matters just a little bit less. And all we're really looking at that point is just a guy who can get the ball to Lamar Jackson consistently in any environment, right? Because we saw back in 2021, like those dark ages of having centers, snaps going all over Lamar Jackson's head and to the left and right, and things like that. So I think that if you're Dwayne Ledford again, look inside, look at like within what you have. Corey Bullock, he didn't mention Corey Bullock's name in that interview, that Lounge podcast interview, and see who can snap the ball the best between him, Javon Gwynn, and Danny Pinner. And again, maybe you bring in a guy, but that's where I'm at with the center position. Hopefully the Ravens do make a move. I'd love to see them get more competition in the room. But as it stands right now, I do have, when it comes to the confidence, if I had to rank my confidence in the Ravens O-line right now, I'd probably give it like, if coming out of last year was like a 2, I'd say that right now I'm at about like a 6. And the only reason why it's at a 6, some people might consider that low, is because it's still sight unseen. It's only on paper. Would you share that assessment?
For me, I'm probably at a 7.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm a little bit higher. I know that we can bring in other center people like center prospects, but I looked up Garrett Bradbury, who they say is the most likely candidate, and even him, his PFF is at 60, which is not great. So they can bring him in, but I don't know what the conversation would look like. If you're looking at like a 6th or the 5th, I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. There's another guy who's out there from the LA Chargers center. He's his running grade, the run blocking grade is 33. And he's actually better than Sam Mustipher's. So that's pretty much what you're looking at. If you're looking at an acquisition, what my gut tells me honestly is that either somehow, some way, because we kind of know Miami's in the rebuild, if we can get Brewer, who's their offensive their center, I think that'll be biggest ideal. Mm-hmm. Second might be a Cesar Ruiz, but I'm kind of in the same category with that. But what my gut tells me is that we probably won't get anybody in this offseason, and then see what out of the 3 people that we have, who do we have in the room? If we don't have anybody, I think at that point, you're looking into September, time frame. Then you can look at Ethan Pocket. At that point, he should have been healed.
Yeah, so, from Cincinnati, right?
From Cleveland.
Oh, Cleveland. That's right. Yeah.
And he's at least I think he's at least a 67, the 68 PFF grade. So he's at least average.
Yeah,
and then you can kind of go from there.
Again, man, honestly, I'm not too worried about the center position. Like I saw somebody say in the chat, it's just a matter of getting somebody who can consistently snap the ball for me, But again, like we mentioned, bring as much competition in as possible, and just let those guys kind of duke it out. Whoever is walks out of the fire, right, in Dwayne Ledford's eyes, that's who starts on Sundays. But brother, anything else you got for me?
I was going to make one more point. So Garrett Bradbury is also on the New England Patriots, traded over to Cleveland Browns. One thing to keep in mind is that, one of the biggest reasons why the New England Patriots lost the Super Bowl is because their offensive line was destroyed by Seattle. So I don't know how much I like that one either. Yeah,
that's true too. But you stick them in another system, you never know. It could go different. So we're just gonna have to see. It's one of those things we're just gonna have to see. That's probably the last burning question that I think Ravens fans would have before the season starts. There's literally no other questions, that Ravens fans could really be like, well, what about this? It's not really edge rusher, right? It's not really DB. It's not really anything else. It's not wide receivers. Yeah, you can get a Jadeveon Clowney. You can bring back a D-Hop, but really the only real question roster-wise is, who's going to be snapping the ball for Lamar Jackson. So we're going to have to wait and see. Yeah.
I'm actually really big on bringing back Clowney, and I have a big reason why. I think he could be a really good rotational piece. He doesn't have to play every single down, but one thing to keep in note, he produced last year, And for me, I keep an eye out on a lot of teams, not just the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dallas Cowboys had a worse defense than ours. Ours was ranked 27th. Theirs was ranked 30th. From a DVOA standpoint, they were fourth worst since the past 45 years. They
Yeah.
were a worse defense than ours, and that says something because our defense was shit. But he
Mm.
still produced. He was arguably the best player on the Dallas Cowboys defense. So
Yeah.
regardless of his age, I think you can bring him in. He can come in pretty cheap. I think that's an impact player where you can have the John Harbaugh's philosophy was you can never have enough cornerbacks. I think as of last year, you could say the philosophy is you can never have enough pass rushers. I think that the philosophy itself may have shifted because when you look at why we have the philosophy of too many, you can never have too many quarterbacks. That originated back in 2014 when we were playing against the New England Patriots, and we gave up two 14-point leads.
Yeah. I remember
We
that.
had a
Painful
like,
times.
yeah, we had people off off the streets hopping on and trying to cover people, and it's fucking awful. But so I mean, we kind of had the same thing happen last year with the defensive line and pass rush.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that we weren't even able to make it to the damn playoffs because of it. So I think that if Jesse Minter is any way comparable to Mike McDonald,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to analyze exactly where the issues with the team is. I think the biggest thing that I want to see out of Jesse Minter that I have seen from Mike McDonald but not from him yet is Mike McDonald has a capacity to be able to improve significantly year over year. His first year as defensive coordinator with the Ravens it was not that great until about week 6, 6, 7, or 8, and then it just
Yeah.
started escalating all the way from there.
You remember that
I
Dolphins
think,
game?
oh yeah, and then there was the I forgot if we made it to the divisional that year, and then the following we made it to the AFC Championship game, and then
Yeah.
had he stayed, I think we would be a Super Bowl team just purely based on the defense. Whoever who gives a fuck who we had at OC at that point, I think we would have made it. And then you look at what he did in Seattle. In Seattle, I don't even know if they made it to the playoffs. They were either 9-7 or 10-6 in that division the year previously. I don't think they made it to the playoffs. And then the following year, they make it to the Super Bowl. So that's
Yeah.
the one thing that I want to see from Jesse Minter that I just haven't seen yet. And hopefully he's able to do it. But that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, he really hasn't had an opportunity to show that yet. But I mean, he took the Chargers from damn near worst to first in terms of defense and a lot of different metrics. So I've got faith in that, and he did that with less talent than what is perceived to be on this Baltimore Ravens team. So I think that he can definitely be a coach like that. Who, like you said, gets better year after year and things like that. And like I asked Cupid right before you hopped on here, when it comes to like this whole Super Bowl or bust thing, I think that the Ravens are squarely in their Super Bowl or window. So yes, it is like Super Bowl or bust this year, but at the same time, obviously you're not going to fire Jesse Minter for, a season that doesn't end in a Super Bowl championship. And obviously you're still going to want to re-sign, extend Lamar. Real quick, last thing before I let you out of here, because I got to get on with these betting lines and things like that with the show. Um, do you think that this is a Super Bowl or bust year for the Ravens? And what does bust mean to you?
A bust means you're not making the playoffs. I think this team has everything, and I think this team has at bare minimum AFC North championship. That's definitely we should win the division hands down.
So that's the floor for
Um,
you.
I would say the exact floor is like the bare minimum I need to see is getting into the playoffs,
Okay.
and that's a 50-50 between that and one playoff game. If we were to win, maybe we're in the wild card. Then we win the wild card, we lose the divisional round, or we win the divisional round because we're the first seed, and then get into the AFC Championship and lose. If we can get something like that, I'm kind of roughly around there. So
Okay.
either playoffs or one win playoffs at the minimum.
I feel it. I feel it. Super Bowl or Hall of Fame bust for Calais Campbell. I saw somebody say in the chat, but I agree. I agree. I mean, I think it's a world class says here in the chat. It's a 3-year window. I agree. So it's not Super Bowl or bust. And like when I mean bust, I mean like you're getting rid of your coach, or you're changing quarterbacks, or you're making a big swing, right? I don't think that regardless of what happens, even if the Ravens win 8-9 this year, I don't think that um anything would change. You know, there would be some talks heating up about guys like Lamar Jackson, and obviously 8-9 is, I think, extreme. I get it. Ravens just went 8-9, but I wouldn't expect them to do that, barring, of course, barring any sort of injuries, things like that. But we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust just yet, but the Ravens are still, weirdly enough, in a Super Bowl right now window, like a win now mode. So, but listen, Asmodeus, I appreciate you for coming through, man. I'll get back with you on next Friday. All right.
Yep, sounds good. You have a good one.
All right. You too, man. Peace.
Peace.
All right, that's my guy Asmodeus, another channel member, a Purple Rain pioneer, and we have just hit 100 people watching live on this here episode of Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. If you're watching live on YouTube, thank you for that. Please be sure to leave a thumbs up on this video. That's right, a like on this video goes a very, very long way here in YouTube land. So if you can help us out by hitting that like button, it is free. Also, if you want to subscribe, if you're enjoying the content, that's free as well. Please hit that like button and subscribe button too. If you're watching on Twitter, shout out to you for watching on Twitter, aka X. Please be sure to follow me here on my Twitter page, X page, at Sutton Def. I'd appreciate that too. But let's keep it moving here. Let's keep it rocking. We got a couple more of these betting lines to get through. I said the Ravens will lose to the Texans. Let's move on. Bye week in week 13. Week 14, Ravens versus the Buccaneers. This is another tough one for me, guys. This is another tough one. I'm going to actually take the Ravens to not cover. I think that they win, but don't cover. I don't think that they win by 6 or more points. I think that they win by less than that. So I don't agree with the betting line there, but I am taking the Ravens to win over the Buccaneers in a nail biter, in a close one, at home, even at home. It's going to be one of those weird ones. That's what I think. Baker Mayfield, he's going to, yeah, you guys know the whole bit. Steelers at Steelers in week 15. Here, it's just all divisional games for the rest of the season. From here on out, Ravens are 2.5-point dogs against the Steelers. I don't agree with this. Okay, I don't agree with this. I think that the Ravens will beat the Steelers. I think that they actually sweep the Steelers this year. So yeah, I got the Ravens winning that one. 16 versus the Browns. Ravens are 10-point favorites in week 16. Maybe the Browns aren't playing for anything at this point in the season. Maybe they'll just kind of roll over, but that's just not what the Browns tend to do, right? They're always pesky. They're always pesky. So I don't like this line here. Minus 9.5 is crazy to me. I think the Ravens win by maybe 6-7 points, something like that. But I do think that the Ravens win, just not by over 9.5 points. I don't see that. 17 against the Bengals in Cincinnati. Ravens are 1.5-point dogs. I do have the Ravens dropping this game. This is New Year's Eve, guys. I do have the Ravens dropping this game in Cincinnati. I think that the Ravens will already have had the division locked up by that point, but the Bengals will be fighting for a wild card spot. They're going to have a lot to play for. It's going to be a very emotional game. Again, New Year's Eve as a holiday in Cincinnati. I think this is the game that you see the darkness falls versus the Bengals all white. But I do think that the Bengals edge out the Ravens in that one, and they win. Versus Steelers again at home in Baltimore. Versus the Steelers, the Ravens are minus 5.5 favorites. I do have the Ravens winning this one, and I have them covering the spread here of minus 5.5, mainly because I don't think that A, the Steelers will be having anything to play for at this point in the season. B, I don't think Aaron Rodgers, if he is the quarterback, if he does end up being the quarterback for the Steelers, I don't think he'll be playing in this game. So it'll most likely be like a Will Howard, right? Maybe versus a Tyler Huntley. Maybe you get Tyler Huntley versus Will Howard in this game. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens to win and cover in that one. So that means I have the Ravens going 15-2. I know yesterday I said 16-1. Today I've cut it down by one game. I think realistically, and even 15-2 is crazy, right? But realistically, I'll say 15-2 on the season for our Ravens. Okay, Ravens floor is 20-0. Ceiling is 20-0. Can you imagine? glaucoma. Can you imagine if the Ravens ran the table? Man, I would love that. Money Mike, a member. Money Mike, the member, is in the house, man. Channel members. Shout out to all of our Rain Gang channel members here. Again, this is a call-in show for channel members only. If you are a channel member, you can call into the show, chop it up with me. Let me know your takes on the Ravens schedule, your record predictions, all that good stuff. Floor is 11 wins, ceiling 16-1. That's fair. That's very, very fair. I think the floor is definitely 11 wins. Ceiling should be 16. I love that, actually. I love that. Lil says sports betting got us in a headlock, picking spreads before seeing the teams play. Listen, man, I'm not bringing up the gambling lines here for gambling purposes. Really, my purpose was to just show what the world thinks about the Ravens schedule. Because like I said, yesterday, me and Alex, we hopped on here. We gave our takes as Ravens fans with purple glasses, exactly what we thought about this schedule. But today I wanted to kind of give you guys some insight on what the world thinks, what Vegas thinks, what money, if people who are putting money on this stuff, what they think about the Ravens upcoming season. And they only have the Ravens as underdogs in 2-3 games? The Ravens are favored to win 14 out of their 17 games. That's one of the highest in the NFL, right? There's only I think 3 or 4 teams who have more games that they're predicted to win. Only 3 or 4 teams. I think it's LA, the Rams, that is. I want to say Seattle's up there. But those teams, those type of teams. So yeah, it should be a great season, man. I cannot wait personally. I think that the Ravens again go 16-1, maybe 15-2. That's my prediction. But we're gonna go ahead and move on here. We move on. What do we have next? And make sure you drop down below in the comment section if you're part of the replay gang. Shout out to the replay gang. Let me know what you think the Ravens' regular season record will be. Okay. Now let's get into the AFC North schedule predictions, right? And I'm going to run through these, guys. I'm not going to dive deep into each matchup for each AFC North team, but I do want to bring up here the AFC North opponents for the Ravens and their schedule, and just kind of run through them and let you guys know what I think these guys will go. So we're going to start with the Steelers here. You got week 1, Falcons. Okay. Then you got week 2. So I'm guessing, week 1 at home versus the Falcons for the Steelers. Week 2 on the road versus the Patriots. Okay. That's a challenge. Week 3 at home versus the Bengals. Week 4 on the road versus the Browns. Week 5 versus the Colts at home. Week 6 going to Tampa Bay to face the Bucks. Week 7 going to Paris to face the Saints. Week 8 home against the Browns. The Steelers' bye week is in week 9. It's in week 9. A little early, I would say. I prefer my bye weeks on the back half of the season. Not in the early half of the season, not smack dab in the middle like the Steelers have right here, but right on on the back half. Give me something on the back half. And that's what the Ravens have. They have a week 13 bye. I love it. But the Ravens have, not the Ravens, but the Steelers have a week 9 bye. They come back against the Bengals in Cincinnati, Sunday Night Football, week 10. And then they are going back on the road to Philly to face the Eagles, week 11. Week 12, they'll be at home on Black Friday against the Denver Broncos. And then they got the Texans at home on Sunday Night Football. So they got 2 back-to-back primetime games the Steelers do. They're going to be playing on Black Friday. And then they get Sunday Night Football. So a little bit of extra rest there for the Steelers. They get Sunday Night Football in week 13 against the Texans. And week 14, they've got the Jags Monday Night Football in Jacksonville. Week 15 is the Ravens in Pittsburgh. 16 is the Panthers in Pittsburgh. And then you got week 17 and 18, both on the road against the Titans and the Ravens. Now, the Steelers schedule, for where the Steelers are right now, new head coach. And I think that's the main thing. Okay, listen. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to be your regular old Pittsburgh Steelers this year. And the main reason why is because they don't have Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin maintained a floor in that organization for so long. And that floor was, of course, never having a negative record, always being competitive, but never really great, always being good, but not great. That goes away. You could very well see a season here from the Steelers where they kind of fall off a cliff. You could very well see that. So I'm just saying here, I think that the Steelers will probably end up being, I'm not going to give them a record prediction, but I'm going to say that the Steelers end up finishing third in the AFC North here. I'm going to say they end up finishing third in the AFC North. We move on. Who else? Bengals, you're up. You are up, Bengals. Let's go through their schedule right here. Ashley says Ace wants to chime in on the topic. He sure does. He's barking his head off in the background. I can hear him. I can hear him through these noise-canceling headphones here. It's crazy. All right, so let's go to the Bengals. So the Bengals, week 1, you've got, let me make sure. Okay, so Orange is home. Okay, so cool. So Bengals, they start their season at home against the Bucks. Then they're away against the Texans and then the Steelers. And then they're home again against the Jags. And they're away against the Dolphins. Bye week. So early bye week. Week 6 bye week for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that could come back to bite them. Especially for that late season game that they have against the Ravens. And I didn't think about that. I still have the Bengals winning that one, but I just think that they're going to be playing a lot of games. They're going to have a lot of games. They're going to play, let's see. So they do play us right after the bye. But they're going to have, and I'm talking about this week 17 game specifically because that one I think is going to have some pretty big playoff implications. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 10 games. They've got 10 straight games of football before they play the Ravens in week 17, which could be for the division. Meanwhile, the Ravens have their bye in week 13, so they're only going to have to play 3 games before they play the Cincinnati Bengals. Take that for what you will, but I do think advantage goes Ravens there. Let's move on here. So they have the bye week in week 6, like I said. Then they have the Ravens on the road. And then they have the Titans at home. Then they have the Falcons in Madrid. Okay, so they have an international game. Joe Burrow was campaigning for that. He got it. They're going to play the Falcons in Madrid. And then they've got the Steelers at home, Commanders on the road, Saints at home, Browns on the road. So they're kind of flip-flopping here. And then they got the Chiefs. They have the Chiefs on December 13th at home. That should be a fun one, barring any injuries to anyone. And then on my birthday, December 20th, they have the Carolina Panthers on the road. And then they have the Colts on the road. And then to finish the season, they have 2 games at home, Ravens, and then the Browns. Cincinnati Bengals, they do not have a very easy schedule. I think it's very... It's very spaced out in terms of like competition. I mean, you've got to start the season. I mean, Bucks, Texans, Steelers, Jags to start the season. You get a little break with the Dolphins. Okay, a little break with the Dolphins. Then you get a bye. Then you got the Ravens. A little break with the Titans. Falcons are a team who can be frisky. You got the Steelers. That's going to be a tough one. Divisional matchups always going to be tough. Commanders. And the Steelers, again, like I said before, the fact that they don't have Mike Tomlin and they now have Mike McCarthy, that culture could look totally different. And by this time in the season, I don't know what I'm going to think about them. You know, they are really, really kind of like the biggest question mark to me in the division. What are the Steelers going to look like? I mean, at least we know with the Ravens, like, yeah, they got a new head coach and everything, but they still have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, right? If you're the Steelers, you're like, yeah, we got a new head coach, but it's like, we don't even know who's starting at quarterback. Right? I mean, our running backs know our skill positions are nothing to write home about. They got Michael Pittman Jr., but outside of that, what are you scared of? You know? But anyways, back to the Bengals here. I think that the Bengals finish second in the AFC North. I do. I think that they're going to be pretty good. They're going to surprise some teams. I think that they go on a stretch here when you see this. I think they go on a stretch in the second half of the season. I think if they can beat the Steelers November 15th, then I think they can also beat the Commanders in a close one. I think they beat the Saints. I think they beat the Browns. And then that Chiefs game is going to be absolute cinema. I do. So I think they finished second in the AFC North again. So we move on here. Who else do we have? Oh, we got the Browns. The Browns. Rounding it out with the Browns. And for some reason, the Browns are going to brown. They completely screwed up the formatting here on their schedule release. That's why it looks so tiny here. It's actually crazy. I can hardly even read it myself, but I'll read it off to you guys. They start the season off on the road in Jacksonville. The Cleveland Browns do. They got Jacksonville on the road, then they got the Bucks on the road, then they have the Panthers at home, Steelers at home, Jets on the road, Ravens at home, Titans on the road, Steelers on the road, Saints on the road, Texans at home. Then they have their bye week in week 11. Browns have a week 11 bye week. They come off of their bye week at home against the Raiders. Then they're at home against the Bengals, at home against the Falcons. That's 3 straight home games. Wow. After a bye. Actually, 4 straight home games after a bye. Then they have the Giants on the road, Ravens on the road, Colts at home, and then to finish the season, they have the Cincinnati Bengals. Man, I'm telling you, man, the Browns and the Steelers, I think they're going to be fighting, scratching and clawing for that third spot in the division, if I'm being honest with you here. I just don't see how, I mean, Browns defense, great, phenomenal, love it. Myles Garrett, awesome player. You know what I mean? But in a division where you've got quarterbacks like Lamar and Joe Burrow, who are a microcosm of, you know, the AFC's quarterbacks. I mean, of course, you're talking about now Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and all those guys, right? It's just hard for them to compete, man. Unless Deshaun Watson turns into 2020, 2019, something like that, Deshaun Watson, when he was absolutely balling out of control. Unless Shedeur Sanders takes a major step forward, I don't see them doing anything, man. SV Cam, what up, man? I don't see them doing anything here. Browns, I mean, they have this home game stretch where they're playing against teams that they could beat. I mean, Raiders, they could beat the Bengals. They could beat the Falcons, but, you know, all those are toss-ups too. I'm going to say that the Bengals finish last in the division. That's what I'm going to say. I think the way that they start the season, Jags, then Bucks, those are 2 tough matchups. Those are 2 tough matchups for the Cleveland Browns. They could very well come out of those 2 matchups 0-2. You know, and then you get the Panthers, who were a playoff team last year. Steelers. I think that the Browns finished 4th in the AFC North. So my AFC North rankings are as follows, guys. My AFC North rankings are as follows. I've got the Ravens winning the division. I've got the Cincinnati Bengals being 2nd, but also getting a wild card spot. I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers barely, and I mean barely, getting 3rd place in the AFC North. And then rounding it out, the Browns will finish up and bring up the rear at 4th place in the North. Those are my predictions for the AFC North here. Let's go ahead and move on here as we are over an hour into this episode, guys. I'm having a great time with you guys. It's Friday. Shout out to you guys for coming through. Maybe you're listening to this on a Saturday or a Sunday. Whenever you're listening to this, again, shout out to you. Please be sure to leave a like, a thumbs up on this video. Helps us out a whole bunch here at PRP. If you could do that, we'd appreciate it, man. We'd appreciate it. All right, let's bring this up on screen here. I want to talk about Zay Flowers. Finally, we can talk about, yes, Zay Flowers. He's back in the news. He's back on a podcast. He's talking to Jarvis Landry and Leonard Fournette again. I think that they released little snippets of this podcast because, as you guys know, I did a show a couple of weeks ago about this very same podcast episode where Zay Flowers was talking all sorts of stuff about John Harbaugh and how he had them practicing too long. And that was the reason why a lot of them went into games banged up and all this stuff, right? And I thought I had listened to the whole entire podcast, but obviously I didn't. There were some things that I missed in here and some things that I didn't see a lot of people talk about. So here is Zay Flowers, Ravens wide receiver 1, talking about his chemistry with Lamar Jackson.
Lamar, it's unspoken language.
Unspoken.
I'm like sign language.
He like, cuz Jared, if you ain't open the first time, just run around. Like that one, I'm back there. If you ever watch, bro, I'm just back there doing all type of shit. Like breaking this way, he running this way, I'm breaking this way. They like get in phase, I'm running this way, he throwing that bitch. Yeah. I swear. And then we'll get to the sideline. If it's man to man or something, I'm like, hey, cuz, they got him on me like. Man, I got you. Yeah. Then he'll look, give a sign, throw it. I swear.
Man, I love that, man.
But me and him really just, like you said, like it's backyard football, bro. Like that's what we so used to. So our mind low key on the same thing. Because as soon as it break down, I'm getting out of there.
Yeah.
Like some people are just keep like
looking to see
what he about to do, and he'll tell you, I'm already gone. That's our scope versus Steelers.
Let's make it happen.
I'm already gone. By the time anybody else broke on the field, bro, I was already running to the end zone.
Gone.
I
love that. I love that y'all got that.
So there we go. That's the first thing. Zay Flowers spoke on his chemistry with Lamar Jackson. And I think that what he said was very telling for a few reasons, but the first one is this. He mentioned the whole backyard football thing. And I know this is something that we've talked about ad nauseum on this channel, but I want to continue to bring it up because, again, like I've said before, the best trait that Zay Flowers has is not his quickness, it's not his speed, it's not his, catching ability. It's none of that. It's the connection and the chemistry that he has with Lamar Jackson. There's a reason why Lamar Jackson loves receivers out of Florida so much. Because they understand that. They understand that, hey, look, yes, we're playing in the NFL. Yes, we're playing in a league where guys are paid hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to spend countless days and nights scheming up ways for us to play this game. But listen, bro, we've been playing this game since we were 5 years old in the backyard, just tossing the football around at the cookout. We did the same stuff. I mean, all we did was, hey, look, you're talking about one 5-year-old to another. Hey, look, man, let's imagine we're in the NFL right now. Let's imagine time's expiring. There's only a couple of seconds left on the clock. We have one chance to make a play happen. Just go deep. Find a way to go deep. And I'll find you. I'll keep the play alive. That's what they did. That's what they did. And that's what they do now as adults in the NFL. And Zay Flowers just said it right there. That is not necessarily a secret reveal. We're going to get into some more secrets that are revealed. But one secret that was revealed was the fact that Zay Flowers said that, when he is in a game and he feels like he's matched up in a guy man-to-man coverage, when he's matched up against a defender who he knows can't guard him, he'll go to Lamar Jackson on the sideline and be like, hey, look, bro, throw me the ball. Find me. You know what I mean? And I love that. I love that out of my wide receiver one. A lot of you guys think, oh, but Sutton hates Zay. No, I don't. I love the fact that him and Lamar Jackson have such a great connection, and the fact that he understands how to take initiative to extend the play and be a backyard football player. What I mean by that is what Zay Flowers just said here. He said that, when plays break down, because Lamar Jackson allegedly told him, hey, look, when stuff breaks down, just run around. I'm going to find you. Zay Flowers understands to do that without having to look for Lamar Jackson's direction on the field. Basically, what Zay Flowers is saying is like, I'm always keeping the play alive. Never am I running my route and then turning around and looking at the quarterback and seeing what he's doing and trying to figure out like what's going on and waiting for his direction, see if he points. No, Zay Flowers, and this is where I'll give Zay Flowers his credit. He keeps plays alive, much like Lamar Jackson. And Lamar gets him the ball. This is a big reason why Rashad Bateman doesn't get a whole lot of opportunities. Right? Because a lot of times when plays break down, while Rashad Bateman is looking in the backfield like, oh, where's the ball? I got out of my break. I got separation. Where's the ball? Zay Flowers is already trying to dip and dodge and turn upfield and try to find an empty patch of grass so he can show Lamar Jackson his numbers so Lamar Jackson can throw it to him. That's the difference. I don't necessarily think that Zay Flowers is more skilled than Rashad Bateman. He just understands. Zay just understands how to play with Lamar Jackson better. That's what makes Zay Flowers better than Rashad Bateman, in my personal opinion. He understands how to play with Lamar Jackson better. Money Mike says in the chat, says Bateman not trash. He just needs a quarterback like Stafford, Burrow, or Goff. They're not backyard players. Exactly. I agree. That's why Mandrews is great and likely looked good. Lamar's that dude. Get free and he's going to find you. Exactly. And that's what Zay Flowers is saying here. And then here's another thing, guys. This is why I have a lot of faith. And write this down. I have a lot of faith in the Ravens' 3rd round draft pick, Jacoby Lane. Now, I know I was not a big proponent of drafting Jacoby Lane only because of the whole center situation, and that just all felt weird to me in the moment. But knowing what I know about Lamar Jackson based off of what Zay Flowers is telling us here, because again, based off of what Zay says, Lamar just tells these guys, hey, look, just keep the play alive, bro. I'm gonna keep the play alive. It doesn't matter if I'm pass rush, I'm under duress. I'm gonna keep the play alive 9 times out of 10. Make sure you're available for me. I think that Jacoby Lane really, really lends to that quarterbacking philosophy of Lamar Jackson. Because when does Lamar Jackson like to toss it up the most? He likes to toss it up to guys when he's under duress, when he's in trouble, to bigger bodies, right? With a bigger catch radius. That's exactly what Jacoby Lane is. 6'4"? Right? Dude's like Mark Andrews' height. 6'4" and has a huge catch radius, can one-hand stuff and all that crazy. Lamar Jackson is going to have an affinity to Jacoby Lane. Let them connect 1 or 2 times in training camp. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I assume they'll probably all be in Florida at some point this offseason, working out together. Lamar, Zay, Jacoby, Bateman, Tez, all those guys. And this is not news to necessarily Ravens fans, right? But the fact that Lamar Jackson loves to play that style of backyard football, I think Jacoby Lane and his huge catch radius really lends to that, right? Because it just seems easy. Like psychologically, it just seems easy. Like when you're rolling out of the pocket, you see a 6'4" guy being guarded by a 5'9" guy, right? You're going to toss it up to him. Lamar Jackson has done that many a times. So yeah, it gives me a lot of faith for Jacoby Lane. Now, let's see here. Let's move on. Another thing he mentioned here in this interview, he talked about Lamar Jackson's MVP loss in 2024.
He looking for you on them plays.
Yeah.
You already know where to go, find your spot, whatever it is.
He can throw any pass, bro.
100%.
Just go to the field.
And people don't think this man could throw.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, how many times does he have to prove
himself?
Bro, this
that
man
he can
had
really throw the ball?
4,100 yards with 4 interceptions.
Come on, bro. And the best quarterbacks in the league that they talking about.
15 interceptions.
Come on.
What are we talking about? This man I don't think he had a season with 10 interceptions.
Right.
Obviously, in my eyes, I believe he should have won MVP more times than we
Talk to him, Leonard.
I don't care. I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
You talking about the Josh Allen one.
Yeah, he should have.
Yeah, talk to him, Zay.
Yeah,
That's his,
He
bro.
should have won. He should have.
Real quick, he said, "I don't care, bro. You talking about the Josh Allen one, right? Yeah, that's what we talking about. The Josh Allen 2024, right?" Zay said, "Wake it up." He said, "I don't care. I'm gonna say it. The Josh Allen one, name dropped him." I love that. Let's go,
They're
Zay.
probably going to see this and say I'm hating, but come on, bro.
No. You calling it? You calling a
You
spade?
calling how you
a spade.
see it, and we speaking back on faith and family, right? I know you have a scripture tatted on you, for your family members that passed in your life, and
speaking of religion, because that's where Leonard Fournette is about to get into here with Zay Flowers. By the way, guys, like the video. If you're part of the replay gang, shout out to you. Like the video as well. But shout out to Leonard Fournette here for bringing this up. I wanted to bring up the fact that here's another secret, something that we didn't know about the team. And it kind of lets you in on how close these guys are on this roster. Let's take a listen.
I love that, man.
But me, D-Han, L, we all go to Bible study
That's
every
what's up.
Tuesday during the season.
That's what's up. Like
Go to
chapel.
chapel every Sunday.
Yep.
Before the game.
guess what? You don't get that. The main
guys don't never
guys.
really
Yeah, you don't get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. You heard Zay Flowers saying that him, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson, they all go to Bible study on Tuesday. right? And they go to chapel every Sunday before the games. That lets you know these guys are super tight-knit, for one, but it also lets you know that there's no way in hell that this Ravens team could not re-sign Zay Flowers. And I get it, all the things that I've said about Zay Flowers. Oh, he's a high-end wide receiver too. He's not a one. I still stand by those things. Okay, I do. But again, what this guy means to this offense, for one, but what he means to the camaraderie of the nucleus of this team, which is Lamar, Henry, and Zay. It's unparalleled, right? It is paramount. You got to keep this guy rostered. You have to work out a deal for him some way, somehow. It's got to get done. It's got to get done. Because quite frankly, a team that prays together stays together. And I love the fact that, these guys take their religion very seriously. He also mentioned in this interview how Lamar Jackson reads the Bible every single day. These guys lean very, very heavily into their faith. However you feel about religion and things like that, the fact that these guys are on one accord like that and they have the discipline to make sure that they are, checking these boxes, like, of going to chapel, making sure that they're going to Bible study. Like, I love the camaraderie between these guys. I do. And I want a Super Bowl for them more than anything. Speaking of that, Zay Flowers actually also spoke in this interview about what a Super Bowl win would mean to Baltimore.
Hey, like, what do you feel like it would mean to the city of B-More, man?
I mean, for the city, it's an all-black city.
Yes, sir.
It's like struggle out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how it is in Baltimore. Like, y'all probably been there, seen it.
Shit was like the murder capital for one point in time.
Yeah. So it's like, you feel me? The only thing, bro, this was crazy. Like, the only time the crime went down is when they won a Super Bowl.
Sound like the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
And real quick, Zay Flowers just said right there, the only time that the crime went down in Baltimore was when the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012. The lie detector determined that that is a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. And while I love my Ravens, and that 2012 Super Bowl was everything to me, there's a certain individual who had a certain level of notoriety in the Baltimore mean streets for a long time. And he was known as the literal crime stopper. Stop me if you know where I'm going with this one. Drop it in the comments, drop it in the live chat. And I don't blame Zay. Zay is not from Baltimore. He's not from Maryland, so he doesn't know the history. Right? He don't know the history, which is fine. I get it. It's cool. He's from Florida. But the Crime Stopper in Baltimore was a kill car, right? High school basketball player, literally highlight reel. You guys can hear my dog in the back. He's seen the highlights before too. He's like, yeah, that dude was nice. A kill car, a little short dude, right? 5'6", 7" with boots on. You know what I mean? But was just out there cooking dudes in high school basketball. And the entire Baltimore would show up to watch him play. And since the entire Baltimore would show up to watch him play, crime would go down. So, yes, Zay Flowers. Well, no, you're wrong. The Ravens were not the only ones that contributed to the crime going down. It was also the Crime Stopper, a kill car. That's who it was. That was the pioneer there. That was the pioneer. And I see some of you guys in the chat giving the shout. Yep, Money Mike, Tanya. Yep. Y'all know. Best high school mixtape of all time? I can't give him all time, Money Mike. That's a tough one. He's up there. But I would, best of all time? I mean, you got John Wall. You got Andrew Wiggins. You got Seventh Woods. I don't even know what happened to that kid. There's some really good ones. Austin Rivers had a really good one. Underrated one, slept on, Marcus Lovett. I don't want to get too deep in this bag here. A kill car was crazy, though. He was very crazy. Rivers, JR says, yeah, he's got one of the best ones for sure. Maybe another day we can talk about that. Maybe another day. But let me let Zay finish what he was saying here about the Super Bowl and what that would mean to the Ravens.
The only time the crime went down was when they won the Super Bowl, and like you could tell though, because they show love. No matter where you go eat at, no matter if it's a restaurant in the hood, you feel me? Like you straight.
Y'all the hope.
Yeah, we safe. Like you good. Like you ain't got nothing to worry about. So that'll be what the city need.
Yeah. What about for you? What would it mean to you being that you didn't win so much in college?
Don't let Zig win that bus.
I'm gonna be outside 30 days straight. I ain't sleeping 2 to 3.
Oh my God.
Nah, that's just something I'm chasing my whole life. Like, not chasing that specifically, but that's just gonna put like the icing on top. Like,
that's a childhood dream we all dreamed of, though.
Yeah. So it'll put it like, I don't even know how to explain it. It'll like, it ain't gonna be the end of it for me, but it's gonna be like,
you'll fuck around and cry.
Yeah. Confetti falling from the sky.
But for L, that'll solidify him one of being the best. That's one of the best.
Yeah, so there you heard it. My bad, I was on mute, guys. That's the Fourth and South podcast. Zay Flowers on there. Make sure you go check those guys out. They've been doing a great job over there at the Volume. Don't forget to join the Rain Gang, guys. Like the video and subscribe. Every new sub is a live emote on stream. Appreciate y'all. All right. Let's move on. We got a couple more topics. Yeah, sorry, guys. I was muted for a second there. We got a couple more topics to touch on before we get out of here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Again, be sure to like this video. But take a look at this, guys. Take a look at this. So I know a lot of you guys saw with the schedule dropping. You had a lot of midweek games, right? I mean, you got the NFL, they're coming on Wednesdays now more so often on Thursdays, and Fridays are playing on, and it just seems like there's a lot more games during the week, where it used to be after Monday Night Football is just, hey, look, man, good luck until Thursday night, right? And even Thursday Night Football was kind of like a newer thing. Thursday Night Football has only been around, at least consistently, for like what? Has it been a decade yet, guys? That they've been doing Thursday Night Football every week? Because I remember back in my day, Thursday Night Football was not a thing until like week 12 or 13 and beyond. Like towards the end of the season, they started throwing in Thursday Night Football. Now you got games on Wednesdays and Tuesdays and all sorts of stuff. Right? So I don't know what that's about, but here is the NFL's justification. So Ari Myrov tweeted this earlier today, says the NFL's viewpoint on adding more games to standalone windows, including Wednesdays, is that, quote, more football for fans is only a good thing. NFL executive Hans Schroeder said today. The league believes that it's being validated by the ratings it continues to generate. At this point, the league does not appear to believe there's a tipping point where it starts to feel excessive. Yeah, but here's my thing. Because I disagree. I do not believe that not the Ravens, but the NFL should be having games all throughout the week. Because now we've got games on Wednesdays. What's next? Games on Tuesdays. Right? We've got games. We've had games happen on Mondays, now Wednesdays, of course Thursdays. We've seen Fridays, we've seen Saturdays, and of course Sundays. The only day we're missing now is Tuesdays. And once they take that, okay, now we're the NBA. Now we've got games every week. And the thing about the NFL is that the entire allure of it is that they own a day of the week. You own Sunday, right? And then you give us time to digest and chew on everything that happened on Sunday and Monday, everything that happened on the weekend and that Monday, right? And we get to go a couple of days and kind of digest that. Like when you're constantly putting product in our face, I think it dilutes it. I think you cheapen the value of the content that is NFL football the more days of the week you give us games. I mean, think about it. Because they're going to stretch themselves too thin. Are you really going to watch? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, they have a game on Wednesday, and it's like, let's say they start having regular games like Wednesday Night Football and things like that, which I think is coming. If they're talking about the ratings look good, I think that's coming. Are you really going to watch a Wednesday Night Football game between the Jets and the Cardinals? Let's just assume they're still bad by the time that ends up happening. right? Are you really going to watch a Wednesday night football game just because it's NFL content? No, eventually people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I know football comes on every day of the week now. But, I'm just going to wait till Sunday. I'm just going to wait till Sunday. My team plays. I don't care about a lot of these other teams anyway. That's what they would start to see. But money hungry NFL, they're like, oh, we can start streaming NFL games on more days of the week and people will still watch. Oh, great. Yeah, it's a novelty thing right now. When the NFL comes on a Wednesday or a Friday or something like that. It's a novelty thing now. But how long until they make it a regular thing? That's my question. I totally disagree with it. Couldn't disagree more. I hate it. I hate it, man. I do. NFL wants to be featured every day and month of the year. Yeah, man, selfish. Chris is in the house. What's going on? Chris M, and the M stands for member, says, and you got to have 17 different platforms to watch it. Not me, though. She on that ship. I totally understand. I get where you're coming from. Yeah, that's another thing, man. That's another thing. You have to have what? They've got games on Netflix now and Amazon Prime, and I think they're doing one on Paramount this year. I want to say, don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but they're coming to all sorts of streaming services. You gotta really hope you pay for the right subscription service to watch some of these games, and it's sad. It's sad. There should be one centralized app. See, I wouldn't mind if they just said, okay, we'll offer you a package on the official NFL Plus app or NFL app, whatever they call it, right? You pay, I don't know, $400, $500. Seems steep, right? Pay $400, $500 and you get every single game for the entire season, no exceptions. But they can't do that. You know why? Because they want money out of all these different streaming platforms. So, the hassle gets passed off to the consumer, which is us, right? They're in the pockets of every big media streaming company, the NFL is, that is. They're in the pockets of Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus. I think they're playing a game on Disney Plus this year. They're in everybody's pocket. They play games on Tubi, everywhere. Fubo, TV, everywhere. Hulu, everywhere. They're in everybody's pocket. So they're basically going to say, on any given week, we could be on Hulu this week, but then next week we could be on Tubi. Better make sure you pay for one of those. And if you don't, it's great for business. For the NFL, they're getting money from everybody around the block. And for these streaming services, you're going to have a lot of rabid NFL fans who desperately want to watch their team, who is like, oh, I got to go watch it on Tubi this week. Sure, I'll sign up for the free trial and then forget my credit card is on file. And then 3 months later, I've spent $60 with them. So everybody went on the business side. NFL wins and those streaming companies, they really win. But us, we lose. We're the only losers, which is why there are other methods. I'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that. TV app and free, says Money Mike. You might have to hook me up with that, Money Mike. Might have to hook me up with that. Not gonna lie. Okay. Who is Ace a fan of? Ace Bug, where is he at? As a matter of fact, can you guys still hear him? I can't hear him. No, he's a Ravens fan. He's a Ravens and a Giants fan because my girl's a Giants fan. So he's like a little bit of both. Anywho. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say on that. I think that the NFL, they're getting a little bit too greedy. Okay. But all right. We are an hour and 40 minutes into this episode. It's been a long one. Member call-in shows tend to be pretty long episodes. I'm okay with that. I love that. I love you guys. That's why. Let me end it with this. I know what's today? Friday, May the 15th. I don't know if you guys listened to that ICEMAN album, that Drake album. Just came out today. I'm a big Drake fan. I've talked about this on Sutton Reactions before. And he came out with 3 albums. I want to get you guys' thoughts and opinions on it. If you're part of the replay gang, you're still listening along and you happen to listen to that Drake album, drop it in the chat. Let me know what you thought about it, or drop it in the comments. Let me know what you thought about it. Because he dropped 3 albums. I thought the ICEMAN album was great. It was amazing. It is great. It is amazing. A lot of you guys are trashing it in the comments. I don't understand why. I would implore you to go back and listen a couple of more times because he's actually rapping his ass off on ICEMAN. You know, he's rapping his ass off. He's got a very good mixture of the types of songs. So he's got some of the slow songs, not a whole lot on ICEMAN, not a whole lot of slow stuff on ICEMAN. He saved that for some of the other projects that he did, but he's got like some rappity rap ones where he's going like bar for bar. You know, he's got some introspective ones where he's talking, you know, he's reflecting on life and things like that. He's got some hype and party type of records on that album. Overall, I think I would give ICEMAN probably about an 8 out of 10. I'd give it an 8 out of 10, which is pretty awesome to me. I normally don't rate albums that high. And I actually like this album a lot sooner than I did his last solo album. He came out with his last solo album. It was called For All the Dogs back in 2023. And when that album first dropped, I hated it. For a good week, I was like, nah, Drake needs to hang it up. He's washed. But then it really grew on me. This one, I actually liked it from the first listen. So I think it's really, really going to grow on me a couple of weeks from now. But yeah, I thought that it was really good. Also, what I will say about Drake is this: he's a very funny rapper because just like most rappers, he lies a lot, right? A lot of cap in the rap. One example that I have, the very first track, can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Make Them Cry, as a matter of fact. Very first track, you know, he's rapping. It sounds great. I'm loving it. Then he starts talking about this girl who he, I guess, was involved with, and he talks about how he's like basically funding her life and he's paying for her to stay in a penthouse and things like that, and buying her clothes and cars and all this stuff. And he's talking about how like she's like doing him dirty and like cheating on him and bringing dudes over to the penthouse he's paying for and really doing him dirty, like dragging him through the mud. And I'm like, I don't believe you, Drake. I don't believe you. I don't believe that in 2026, maybe back in like 08, you know, when you were like still coming up, you weren't really on yet. But in 2026, when you are well established and have been for the past damn near 2 decades as one of the biggest artists in the world, right? You're worth over $1 billion. Everybody knows your name. You know what I'm saying? You're telling me that women out here who are involved with you, knowing all of that, are choosing to drag you through the coals and cheat on you and not want to sit her ass down somewhere and you know, be a wife or whatever. Nah, absolutely not. I'm not believing that these girls are out here just still spinning Drake and taking him for a ride. I don't believe that, not for 1 second. Nope, I will not. I do not. No, I don't believe that. That's cap. That's cap. I would have believed it back in like, again, 2011, 2012, maybe. There's some girls, but like he's literally at the top of his game. I don't believe that the women that he's dealing with are that dumb. I don't believe that. You think Drake is loyal? And that would be the only caveat that I would have. Like, maybe the fact is like he's not loyal, right? Maybe he's keeping his options open because he did say that. He mentioned that on the album. He's like, girl, you keeping your options open. You sound like me, something like that. So yeah, maybe he's out. Of course, he's flying all over the world and doing things. So I'm sure he's doing stuff. But you telling me you haven't found a girl who's just going to like literally just sit at home, not give a shit about what you got going on. She just wants to see you walk through that door when, you know, you're done touring or done making music, whatever, right? So I don't know. It's like you underestimate birds. Maybe I do. I just, again, I find it hard to believe that, like, because he also said that this girl has like dudes over this penthouse that he's paying for her, and these dudes are like sending him proof that they're hanging with his girl in the penthouse that he pays for. I'm like, bro, absolutely not. How? You're telling me the girl that you're involved with, was like, yeah, I mess with Drake. I'm going to cheat on you with another dude. I'm going to bring him over to this penthouse that you're paying for. I'm going to give him your contact number, your contact information, so you can reach out to him and make him jealous. Yeah. What? Nah, man. I just don't see it. I don't see it. A trick gone trick? Sure. Sure, man. But like, again, in 2026, bro, I think Drake just got to grow up. Because if you're still dealing with women like that and you're on your level, like that's high school level childish. These girls that he's explained, that's like high school level childish. You know? So yeah, I don't agree. I don't believe that. Lots of cap in his rap, but I'm okay with a little cap in the rap. I'm okay with that. It's cool every now and then. It's cool every now and then. But yes. Drake annoys me so much. I got to check out early on this one. See y'all next episode. Yeah, we're wrapping up. Drake trying to be a YN. Yeah, maybe he messing with these YN's girls, man. That's why they going. I don't know. Monty says, what Raven's secrets? We talked about Zay Flowers revealing how, his chemistry with Lamar Jackson and kind of like the things that they share on the sidelines, like the shoulder taps and like, hey, look, man, this guy's guarding me. Hey, look, we're playing this way. That sort of thing. Those were the secrets. Also, the camaraderie that Zay Flowers has with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I had no idea how close those guys were. Early in the episode, I talked about it. Make sure to rewind. But okay. That is going to be the end of this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming through. This has been our longest episode of QSS ever. We're almost at 2 hours. We're at an hour and 45 minutes in. Appreciate you for rocking out. If you've been here the entire time, if you're part of the replay gang, you made it all the way to the end. Thank you for that so much. We appreciate it. Again, leave a like, leave a thumbs up on this video. Listen, everybody, have a great, safe, fun weekend. Whatever you got planned, make sure you have fun. Make sure you be safe. I'll see you guys on Monday on the main pod. Shout out to the Rain Gang. Stay positive, test negative. Never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. Catch y'all later. Peace.